So huge thank you, Dan, for putting on this topic, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Great. Thanks, Andrea. And thank you for everybody for finding the time today to share with me as we walk through PR 101. Basically, we're going through a preliminary overview of strategies and tactics to help clubs get the word out. Great word out on what Rotary is all about. A little overview of what we're going to cover the next hour or so. We're going to just do a quick poll to see who's here. We're going to define what PR is and talk about why it's important. We're going to look at available resources, and there are plenty of them that we can use to do a better job on getting the word out about our Rotary clubs. We're going to try to define what good, better, and best looks like for our clubs. Depending where we are on the agenda, we're going to spend some time on brand identity and voice for Rotary. As you know, that has changed a little bit in recent years. We want to make sure that we're all aligned to that. Talk to briefly COVID-19's impact on club PR programs, and then share some final thoughts, and then we're going to open it up to some Q&A. So who's here? Let's first, I'll talk a little bit about myself. I'm fairly new to Rotary, only been here for about 2 years or so, which people have told me is a good thing because I'm allowed to brings maybe some outside perspectives and still ask some silly questions without looking too silly as I do it about why we do the things we do. And kind of spur discussion and thoughts that way. I'm currently a member of the Rotary Club of Burlington Lakeshore. I retired 2 years ago after about 15 years of marketing and branding, working for large corporations and primarily consumer packaged goods. So, food products that you would know and love, as well as home and personal care products. And then for the last 15 years of my career, I spent in consumer insights. I ran my own consultancy, running a small business, working with large organizations on their market research programs so they understand who their consumers are, what their needs are, and then execute the research to develop new products and communications for those products. I love instructing, fundraising, travel, skiing, guitar, singing, and of course, napping. I mean, who doesn't, right? We're going to do just a real quick poll. I'm going to help, with the help of our moderators here, we're going to put a poll question up. I'm just curious to see who's in the room. So if you can help me with that, people in the back room. There we go. So you should see on your screen, of whatever kind of device you're looking at or working with, a couple of just basic questions. And so if you can just answer the questions, I want to see who we got with us today. So the first question, how long have you been in Rotary? Give you a second or two on that one. And then if we can take a quick look at the results, if that's possible. Okay, so we got a nice distribution. We got about a third of the group here for less than 2 years. And then we've got, another third have been with Rotary for 10 years or more. So a nice diverse group there. So following question, please. Oops. That'll be the next question after this one. So I know it's coming. There we go. So are you primarily responsible for developing and executing your club's PR programs? Yes or no on that one. We'll just give it 2 seconds and we'll just take a look at the results. Okay, what are the answers on that? Oh, okay, interesting split. So we got 27% saying yes and 73% saying no. So even those who aren't directly involved for developing or executing, I think today's presentation will still have some content that you're interested in. Because in every way, as a Rotarian, we touch on building the reputation of our club, and that's what PR is all about. Next question. No, one after that. No, after that. So this poll feature is new for us. So if you haven't seen it used in one of your weekly meetings, it's a neat little feature we have here. Okay, so what skills do you currently have? Have you done any work in brand positioning, advertising, media planning, social media marketing? The list goes on. So just click those where you feel comfortable in terms of your current skill set. That'll help me understand kind of where I might spend some more time talking about PR today. Okay, let's take a look at the answers. Okay, so we've got roughly half the group saying none of the above, which is good. We're going to talk about some of those, at least in passing terms. Now, reality is we've got an hour today, so I can't go too deep in any one of these things. I will be spending a fair amount of time talking about social media marketing. So if that's an area that you'd like, have an interest in and you think can be leveraged for your club, that's good. You're in the right place today. Next question. Which tools does your club currently use to build PR programs? Bit of a laundry list there. Based on my observation, most should have a website and a Facebook page. There's a few that don't. But what other tools do you have? Okay, let's take a look at the answers. All right, good, good, good. So we actually still have some people using traditional press releases, about a third or so. Good. We're going to focus today's discussion really on Facebook and social media. We're going to go kind of deep there. We're going to speak to in a very high level Instagram, Twitter, but it's really a little bit about using a website, using Facebook for all that it's worth to get the message out about our clubs. Okay, I think we're going to move on. Okay. Many of you may have just come off Mike Lury's speech. At one point, he quoted, "Some clubs will struggle to survive," and didn't say a few will likely fail. At one point that you might have said that, but actually he said a few may not be able to sustain. So that's a concern, obviously. We want to be a part of a large, vibrant, growing organization. COVID-19 has thrown us a left curve. And just by you being here, you're recognizing that you want to be part of the team that can keep our organization vibrant and growing. There are a couple of concerns. You've heard people talk to this, but I'm a numbers guy, so I put some numbers to it. This is membership trend at our district over the past year and a half or so. Seeing it's gone from a high in September down 4% to where we are today. So we want to see that curve flatten out as much as we can. Not that PR and communication strategies are the be all and the end all, but they can certainly help get more people involved in the organization. As well, we are skewing somewhat old. Roughly 25% of our current club members are age 70 or over. At least those who identify their age are age 70 and over. We love to have people from all ages in our club, but as you know, as people age, they have, obviously some health concerns can tend to kick in at times, and their ability to contribute as much as they would like to a given club in terms of building it, getting up for fundraisers and whatnot, can be somewhat hampered. So we'd like to get more younger people involved in our organization to keep it young and vibrant going forward. Okay, so again, thank you for just being here today and hopefully being part of the team that's going to reverse our trends here. We talked about it. Have any questions, please type them away in the chat. We've got somebody in the background monitoring chat. And if we see a flourish of questions popping up on a specific topic, well, we're going to stop and answer them. Today's topic, tip of the iceberg. PR is a very deep subject and it's also very wide. So we're just touching a little bit. There may in fact be a second training course for PR down the road for people who want to go deeper on a couple of subjects. I'll talk to the team about that. I'm happy to put it on. First and foremost, so PR is a tool. So it's one of the many things your club can use to become more vibrant and successful going forward. It does not and should not replace, great programs, great committees, great plans, vibrant speakers coming in. Your club is the product. PR is just about what we communicate about your product. So never expect this tool to replace all the very important things that go into running a successful club, of course. Okay, that said, we know that every club has a number of common goals. We want to raise funds for worthy causes. We want to execute projects and donate funds. We want to maintain partnerships in the community. Mike just talked about our new partnership with Toastmasters, and some people also mentioned a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. We want to maintain those and grow those. We want to establish membership. We want to create forums to build, personal relationships. It's all about people. Positive image for our club makes all those things a lot easier to do. When people walk around, people that are not currently associated with our clubs or Rotary in general, walk around with a positive perception of our organization, doors start to open. Rotary opens new opportunities. That's a theme for this year, and I truly believe it. PR is a very important part of that program. That said, successful execution of PR programs is not a recipe for success. You can execute all the great programs in the world, and sometimes things just don't happen. That said, if you execute programs that are done very poorly, you can actually, in effect, jeopardize the success of your organization. So it's a double-edged sword. Any kind of communication that's out there about your club or Rotary in general is done with the risk of success and also the risk of failure that can actually hurt us. So that's something I want people to be very mindful. There is such a thing as bad programs that do more harm than good. So just on that little pop quiz. So something like posting photos on your Facebook page that don't reflect the diversity of your club. Is that something that helps us or hurts us? I think you know the answer to this. That could be something as simple as that could be something that hurts your club. So, going forward, think about it. Diversity. You want to make sure that you put your outward face of your club and your organization is one that reflects the diversity that we actually embrace and want in our organization. Only communicating projects that benefit some narrow segment of your community. It's great. We've all got projects. We have pet projects. We have a passion for them. But make sure as you talk about those projects that you also talk about other projects. If we're seen as the organization that only does X and X and X and X, it doesn't reflect the wonderful span of things that we do to help our community both locally and globally. So make sure that as you talk about things, you talk about them all. And if you don't, you could in fact be kind of, tarnishing a reputation as an organization. Posting incorrect or dated information on your website. Oh, we know where this goes. Got to keep it current. If we as leaders in our organization don't have enough time and wherewithal to make sure what we're putting out there is correct and right, people will start to wonder, the type of organization we're in. And we know that we're a worthy organization, worthy of people's time, and it's up to us to kind of maintain a standard. Here's a great example. I saw this on our district Facebook page. I'm not exactly sure who posted it, but it's a sign, a Rotary sign, that I think is currently present somewhere in Kitchener-Waterloo, I think. Does this sign help the organization? Not at all. It'd be great if somebody just took it down. It would be better to have no sign, obviously, than this sign. So something to keep in mind. Okay, so all that, I'm a big advocate of quality over quantity. If you're going to do something, do it right. If you do it wrong, it could, in fact, tarnish our reputation. Okay, so why is public image important? Well, first of all, we want people to recognize what Rotary is. There was a survey done a couple of years ago in the US where only 50% of people in the USA actually know what Rotary is. It could correctly identify the name and associate it with what we stand for as an organization. So that's important, but it's only a start. We want to take people further and let them know what we do as an organization and obviously inspire people to get involved. Okay. You know what, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip. I've got a couple of videos planned for today, but I'm going to skip them. I was in Mike's presentation. I saw how quickly the day can go long, or these presentations can go long. So I'm going to skip some of the nice to do stuff and get to the meat of the day. So, but when asked, what do people think about Rotary? And these are some genuine answers they got from the research. It's a phone. It's a bunch of guys meeting, having lunch, kind of the old boys club. They maybe know something about vaccinations, but don't know about what we do in a local community. It's a secret society. There is, this whole thing out there among some people who believe organizations like Rotary and Lions Club are part of some big conspiracy theory, the dark state, if you will. Obviously, we want to clean those misconceptions up. Okay, so we have some work to do. You've probably seen this around. If not, hopefully you'll take note and speak to this going forward. And this is coming straight down from Rotary International. Rotary unites leaders from all continents, cultures, and occupations to exchange ideas, take action for communities around the world. That's the official speak. So you should be able to encapsulate this when a friend asks you what Rotary is. This is essentially it. Mike also shared a new vision for Rotary, and so you can also use potentially something along these lines to speak what we are as an organization. You know, together we seek a world where people unite, take action to create lasting change across the globe, our communities, and ourselves. So 3 doors there: the globe, communities, and ourselves. So whenever you're asked, this is kind of what you should strive to encapsulate using your words for what Rotary is, and something that we should strive to do in our communications going out to the community. Why do we want to do it? Number one, obviously, we want to get people involved. We want to try to increase the trend and get more people involved in our organization, more people coming out to help. And also helps us stand out. The reality is people today, probably more so than 10, 15, 20 years ago for sure, have all kinds of opportunities to help. Social media is a blessing in a way that it's created an easy way for people that have causes to talk about them and seek the community's help to further their cause. So it's a crowded, competitive world out there, and we as Rotary have to make sure that we are getting the word out on what we're about as an organization. Who are the people we want to talk to? Number one, prospective members, our current members, simply just in terms of thinking about motivating your current membership to stay involved, stay engaged, come out for, the fundraisers or the hands-on service projects. They have to feel good about the organization they're associated with. And so the projects we run in PR also work very importantly to help current members feel good about what we're doing. Volunteers and donors, always in great need. And of course, partner agencies. Those are kind of, in very simple terms, are key constituents that we want to speak to every time we have a program. That doesn't mean that every program we run should check out every one of those boxes, but over the course of a year or so, we've got to make sure that we focus on each one of these 4 groups and have messages that are relevant for them. Okay, any questions there? Maybe it's a quick time to hear from
So
the back room to see if there's anything building up there. No?
Hi, Dan, it's Sonia. I'm not seeing any questions per se.
Okay, no worries.
I'm going to actually, there's one maybe around membership, but I'm going to leave you to continue your presentation and you might answer that.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, PR resources. There are a ton of resources that we should all get to know of. Number one, it's people. It's myself, I'm doing the training today, but I'm also leading the communication and PR committee next year at a district level. AJ Rana, as hopefully you may know, has run it for the past 2, maybe even 3 years or so. Vital resource, he's staying on as part of our team. Jananji, a very important part, a leading part of our social media project. She's very instrumental in helping clubs with their Facebook presence and helping giving some guidance and direction in how to do the best job we possibly can in Facebook. Darren Sweeney, our web guru, does all the work with our district website. And also helps clubs out when they've got questions about their website. What are we here for? We're here, number one, to enhance members and clubs' knowledge of Rotary branding. Rotary branding is very important. We want to keep it consistent, and we want to be a resource. We want to be the place people go to when they've got questions about how to do a better job at PR. So people's the start of that, but thankfully, the team over the past year or 2 has done a fantastic job of building resources at our district website. So I hate to say go to the website, because I'm sure that's the last thing you want to hear, because I know when you reach out to people these days, they just kind of point you down an alley. But the resources at our website are really phenomenal. And I'll kind of show you the next page what's here. We've got a section on public relations. Is your club using the correct Rotary branding? That's a must read that you would find on our website. We've got Get Social. If you haven't already, I'd love you to see us sign up for our district Facebook page. So that's the page that is outward looking. We expect people who aren't Rotarians to come to this page, as well as your own club's page, to learn about what we're doing in our local communities. Then we've got also a district Rotary community. That's an inward looking page. That's where we as Rotarians talk to other Rotarians within our district about what we're up to, where we exchange ideas or we ask ourselves questions. So you have to actually join to be part of that Facebook page. And if you're interested in all communications, certainly encourage you to join up and get in. And then we have all these linked resources. And I've identified a few here. We have a Rotary PR guide. It's a PDF document that comes out of Global. It's a must read. Quick start guide for social media, that's a must read for sure. Quick start guide for club websites, very important as well. And then Rotary voice and visual identity guides, a must read. Some very smart people have done a lot of work on those 4 links, and they probably, Rotary International probably paid some consultant a lot of money to put the work together, and they got their money's worth. It's material that's very well done, very well laid out. It explains to people like you and me how to do some basic things for the good of your club. There's other links here that I'm not going to go through in detail, but they're worth your time as well. But try to get to the must reads first. If you haven't used it already, Rotary has a great learning resource that you should be getting to. I'll just kind of flow to it. If you go to the My Rotary website and you go to Learning Reference, which you'll see in the top nav bar, you're going to see a link to a course catalog in the bottom of the page. Go to that link. There are phenomenal courses available across Rotary, not only for PR, but all kinds of things. The e-learning course for PR is about 15 minutes long. I enrolled, I took it. I've been in marketing a long, long time. It was fresh and insightful. I certainly encourage you to go to that place and use that course as a starting point.
Hey, Dan, it's Sonia. Can I just pause for just a moment? I think,
sure.
So a couple of things. I believe you may have annotated your screen, and as a result, there's a big black mark across it. I don't know if you can clear that annotation, but while you look at how you might do that, it might be up above in your share screen options. I just wanted to clarify something for District 7080, just in terms of posting on Facebook. So 7080 has both a community page and a district site. So any club and any member who's part of that community group, rather, can post to that community group. And then if you were looking to post something, let's call it official, to the district site, you can absolutely submit a post, and then the admins will post that to the District 70 official page, right? So just some clarity on where you can put information there. So Dan, that looks great. You managed to clear that up, and I'll hand things back over to you.
Thanks for clarifying that for me. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing at first. One is very much designed for people who aren't Rotarians who want to learn about us, and then the community site, it's our community, and you got to join up for that one. It's very easy to join. You just ask for permission, and the admin people will check your name to make sure you're a Rotarian. It could happen within seconds. It could happen within a half a day, and then you're in and ready to go. Okay. So yeah, I was talking about My Rotary Brand Center. Again, back to My Rotary. Go under Manage, go to the Brand Center button, and click on it, and you've got all kinds of resources here for understanding and managing our brands. You've got resources, actual ads that professionals have put together that you can run on your website. You've got images and videos that help talk about what we do as an organization, and they're really, really compelling. Again, I'm not, for the sake of time, I was going to show 1 or 2 that are less than 1 minute each, but they're all worthy of being posted on your Facebook page or your website at some point in time, because they speak to what we do. You know, Rotary People of Action. It's a current campaign that is, I think, very compelling, global in scope, that speaks to the transformation that we as Rotarians do on a daily basis. Okay. Image search, I'm not going to go through this, but there's hundreds of images on the global website that could potentially be used in your websites and or your Facebook pages. That said, we certainly encourage you to take pictures, take good pictures of things that are going on and how you're helping in your community, because of course that's more relevant and more compelling for people within your community. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about success. It's the idea of good, better, best. So what are good clubs doing in the world of PR? First and foremost, everybody in every club should have an understanding of what our mission is, and should be taking steps each and every day to encourage others, whether it's friends, family, strangers, work associates, to get involved in Rotary. That doesn't mean they have to become a Rotarian, but they can get involved in our projects. They can volunteer in an event. They, just get in. So it's essentially the elevator pitch. What else? We're looking for well-designed, up-to-date websites that comply with all Rotary brand standards. We changed what the brand looked like over the past 5 years, so we want to make sure that everybody has a fresh look at what our brand is today. And we'd like everybody to have a Facebook page that supports announcements and other types of posts. So just on that really quickly, first one, conversation starters. We know we all have a Rotary pin that we're hopefully wearing at minimum if we've got a nice get up, or maybe we've got a Rotary golf shirt or a Rotary baseball cap. Those are great too. I found, this is just my personal POV, this is the back of my phone. I have this phone with me everywhere I go at all times, rarely in my back pocket because I don't want to crush it. So I put it down on the table or somewhere, safe where I'm out and about. And I always show the Rotary brand logo up. It's a little sticker that you can buy for 2 cents, buy a roll for maybe $5. It starts more conversations than you could ever imagine. So that's the door opener. And once the door is open, I have my elevator pitch. I tell people what Rotary is about. I tell them what I enjoy most about the organization. And I get people, if they're local to my community, and even if they're not, ask them to come on out and check out a meeting or come on out to a fundraiser or some way they can pitch in. And invite them to be involved. So hopefully everybody within your club is doing that. If not, at a minimum, we should be coaching people and encouraging people to do that. Put them on the spot, ask them what their elevator pitch is and see how good it is. And then give them yours and exchange ideas on how to make them better. Website essentials. This is a bit of a laundry list here, but essentially every website should have this. Many websites have much more than this, which is absolutely fine. If your website is your kind of repository for other information about your club, that's great. As long as it's well organized and doesn't get in the way of the key messages, which is what are we about? When do we meet? Who are the contact members for our board members? What are we doing? What's our calendar of our events? What have we done? If we're linked to social media, they should be prominent on your website homepage, and we should have district links for global and district resources. So that's at a minimum what every club should have. Many clubs have much, much more, and I certainly encourage that as long as it's well organized. Again, current branding for sure, and we've got to make sure that all our websites, and most of them are simply by virtue that most of the sites within our district are run by Club Runner. They got to look good on a screen, they got to look great on a cell phone, they also look good on a tablet. So as you look at your website, make sure that they're fine-tuned for each one of those devices, because you would be surprised, maybe blown away about how many people are simply using a phone these days to get the vast majority of the information they use, even if it's website based. Okay. Specifically amongst younger potential members. On top of that, website training. There is, in fact, CLT, Club Runner for Beginners or Advanced Users, happening on May 21st at 3 o'clock. That's a Thursday. Encourage you to sign up for that. We're going to, for those who've never used Club Runner, you can learn a little bit about website basics, or for more advanced people, there's also a stream for more advanced topics. Club Runner as an organization does a phenomenal job at training. They're constantly running webinars on design and content. They had one, I guess, that would have been Thursday, and they've got one upcoming on May the 20th. So go to Club Runner, sign up for the webinars, or if you've got a specific question, just reach them. They are so responsive, it blows me away. Every time I pick up the phone, I've got a live voice in real time answering very specific questions. And so I encourage you, if you've got some issues, to just reach out to them. Okay, we talked a little bit about Facebook. Why is Facebook so important? The numbers don't lie. We've got 2 billion users globally, 1.5 billion users globally who use it every day. What's it good for? Building relationships. If you don't have a Facebook account, it's a great place to stay up to date with friends and family. For clubs who create their own page, it's about talking about what your club is doing, reaching prospective new members, and also reaching your current members, letting you know what you're up to. It's just a great platform to reach out to people and also to connect to other communication platforms. And we're going to talk about that in a second or so. It's really great for videos and photos. That's what it's all about, images. Very, very powerful. And one limitation, though, it is in the absence of paid advertising, the reach is somewhat limited. And I'm going to talk about that more in a second. Okay. Just take a look at some numbers in Canada. Roughly 24 million people in Canada are currently using Facebook. It's by far the #1 communication platform. Instagram is coming on stream. This is back in 2018, so this data is a couple years old. It's probably a lot higher now, but it's still not challenging Facebook for its lead just yet. Interesting note, if we think about the demographics of our club, or probably most clubs today, with most clubs having, you know, somewhat older demographics in them, it is the platform that is most used by older people, okay, as compared to, let's say, Instagram or Twitter. So if we're thinking about fishing where the fish are, having people that, you know, are in older demographics, maybe with less commitments to family or work, involved in the organization, Facebook is the #1 place to go. That said, it's also great at attracting newer people, younger people, I should say. Okay, I'm gonna skip that. Okay, so that's what good is all about. Let's talk about what better is all about. Well, #1, it's a well-defined, carefully timed annual content plan for your club's Facebook page that's aimed at growing your base of followers. Yeah, that's #1. It's #2, it's metrics in place that let you know how you're doing. You know, what, you got to measure what you're doing at some point in time to make sure that you're seeing some progress and some growth. And then finally, it's some analytics, even at a very, very high level, to help you identify what's working for you and what's not. And so we're going to talk about some of those. Oops, there we go. Okay, so bit of an eye chart here. Again, my numbers guy here. This is the number of followers for each club in our district, and Rotary clubs as well. And so what we can see here, I'm not looking to point fingers. There's probably very good reasons why, I know there are very good reasons for why some of the numbers are high, and there are some very good reasons for why some of the numbers are low. So some clubs are doing a great job of getting the word out through Facebook and inspiring followers to follow what their clubs are doing. Some clubs, not so much. It could be that they're just getting out of the gates and getting their ducks in line. I'm not going to condemn them or question them, but it does point to the fact that there's some room to grow our followers in some clubs throughout the district. Now, why is it important to get followers? Well, simply put, it allows you to get your message out. The more followers you have, the more people understand what your club's up to. And on top of that, the more chance there is that friends of your followers will have a chance to see what your club is up to. That drives interest in your club and ultimately drives involvement. Now, it's really worth noting. Some people don't know this, and it's really worth noting. So let's say your club's got 1,000 followers, and you post something this week about your club and its events and activities on your Facebook page. The reality is not all thousands of your followers are going to see that post. Roughly only 1 in 10 of your followers is going to see that post. So that means that the more followers you have, obviously, the better it is, because there's this scaling down factor that takes place on your posts, thanks to our friends at Facebook, that not everything you post gets seen. They do that simply because they want you to pay for posts, which is okay. That's a viable strategy, and we're going to talk about that in a minute or two. But not everything you post is seen. So as you think about your follower base and every post you do, not everything you do is being seen. Of course, your followers have the opportunity to go to your page to see everything you post, but the reality is not everybody does that on a regular basis. So this is how social medias work, social networks work, just in case you're not kind of tuned in. So if your page has a bunch of followers and you post something, those people will see it. Great, you got the word out to people who follow you. But there's also a chance that those people will share your post because it's relevant and interesting to them and people like them, and other people will get to see it. And that's the magic of social networking. It's through these electronic connections of friends that the word gets out amongst the general public. And so the more followers your club have, the more chances are of getting the word out to more people. And the more chances are we're going to maintain a large and vibrant organization. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a content strategy. I'm going to focus on Facebook here. How often should you be posting? The idea is you'd probably be posting about 3 to 4 times a week. That would be original posts. And I've sourced this information from Rotary's international website. So this is a recommendation coming to us. Also, if you see interesting or inspiring posts from someone else or some other Rotarian or some other organization or affiliation, certainly repost it as well. But hopefully 3 to 4 original posts per week. That's for Facebook. For Twitter, it's even more ferocious or hungry. It's looking for 1 to 3 tweets a day, and it's looking for 2 to 3 retweets a day. So you got to be on the ball if you're using Twitter as a social medium for Rotary. Instagram kind of lines up with Facebook, and I'm going to talk about Instagram a little bit more in a second, and LinkedIn kind of lines up with it as well. Okay, but there you go, 3 to 4 original posts per week. That's what you should be doing as somebody who's leading and organizing your club communications. Okay. So the question is, how do we get followers? It's not easy. Obviously, the numbers for all our clubs would be a lot higher if it was a walk in the park. But as somebody who either picks up a newspaper every day or spends time on your tablet looking at YouTube videos or Facebook content, you tend to strive toward content that looks something like this. This is not an exhaustive list. This is I've picked and choose from a number of lists I've taken a look at, but make people laugh, get them excited, get them to think about something in a way they maybe haven't thought about things before. Got to challenge people's assumptions about what we are. We may want to just give them something practical. You can read the list faster than I can go through it, but ultimately there are lots and lots of ways that you can post content to get people involved. I encourage you to be creative. And if you can't be creative, borrow somebody else's creativity. There's no excuse for lack of creativity today, because creativity abounds online. You just have to kind of scratch the surface a bit and find it, and borrow other people's ideas. Obviously respect copyrights if they're in place, but a lot of stuff, good stuff up there is not copyrighted, and you can borrow it, morph it, and call it your own and leverage it for what it is. Videos, that's worth mentioning for sure. Videos are 40 times more likely to get shares than just static content. So it's, in terms of getting videos of your clubs or happenings out there, please do. It's proven to be the most effective way to get people engaged and involved in your content. Okay. Oh yeah, quick note. Please avoid posting pictures of people sitting in meeting rooms or someone getting an award. We have lots of those pictures within the Rotary world, and that's great. I encourage you to save that material for your club's weekly bulletin. They're important to us because Rotarians are important to people who have been to our club, but they're not so engaging and rewarding for people who don't know the organization. They come off as somewhat dull and stale. Just try to steer away from those type of posts in outward-looking communications. Use those for inside communications where they're valued much more than out. Okay, so creating content. Got to ask yourself these questions each and every time you're thinking about putting a piece of communication out there. Who are your targets? We talked a little bit about prospective members, current members, agencies, volunteers. If you think about a message, think about who you're targeting. What do you want to say to a given target? And why would they be interested in it? What response do you hope to generate from a given communication? You've got to ask yourself these 4 questions every time you think about posting something, either on a Facebook page or any other social medium or on your website. If you can't answer the questions, go back and rethink about what you're doing, because you've got to have clear objectives for what you do. Otherwise, it's kind of clutter that will probably tend to be ignored. So again, looking for quality, not quantity. It's not just a random number of posts every week. It's a number of posts that hopefully have some meaning to them and some purpose. Okay. We talked about prospective targets, but again, think about each one of these every time you develop communication as it relates to your club or your organization. Is it social? Is it an idea that's worth sharing? That's how social media works. You've got to give it some power, so that's going to be shared from one person to the next. Think about what would motivate a given target to share your message. Really be honest with you. And what can you do as you create a message for your club to make it more motivating, so it increases the likelihood of being shared? We talked about video. We talked about compelling images. Those are just the start. What's inherently the message, and will it be shared? Again, ask yourself the questions, put yourself to the test as you develop communications for your club. Planning for success. At a point in time in the year, maybe the start of the Rotary year, sit down either individually or with your committee at a club level and think about the calendar, the annual calendar as we know it, with Labor Day and Christmas and Thanksgiving and all those other things happening. Then overlay your club's calendar and its events. Then overlay the district calendar and its events. And then overlay other types of calendars. And think about what you can be talking about in real time that may be of interest. So, it's going to be the May long weekend pretty soon. You should start thinking about, at earlier on in the year, should be thinking about what type of content is relevant for the week that we're going to see next week. And it doesn't mean you're going to actually have the specific messages that you're going to post, but as you stay current with your planning calendar, you're going to say, oh, I got to start thinking about finding really interesting messages that revolve around Victoria Day and our Rotary Club. Because that's how people's minds work. They're kind of tuned into today's reality, and they're likely to share stuff that's interesting as it relates to today's reality. Okay. I was on a calendar this morning. Did you know that today is National Lost Sock Memorial Day? Now, I'm not sure are we going to post something about that on our Facebook page, but you know, there's something to talk about everywhere. And it's just a matter of finding it and turning it into the messages we want to get out there. In dry periods, look for, you know, what's going on in your club, what you're working on, what your community partners are working on. Just if you don't have a specific date in mind, look for other sources to find content. And again, make a plan and try to stick to the plan as much as you can throughout the year. If you don't, you'll find yourself kind of scrambling at the last minute, not having the forethought about what you want to talk about and who the target is. And if you do that repeatedly, chances are over the course of a year, content's just not going to be as compelling as one if as a plan, you know, a media plan with content. Okay, just FYI, I took a look at some of the superstars in our district club, Kitchener Grand River. If you go, and I definitely encourage you to go to their Facebook pages, they're doing a good job. They're getting followers because they're doing that. They're looking at the content they put out is motivating, it's relevant, it's timely. It's you know, it's, I don't say it's rocket science, but it does take discipline, it does take effort, and we got some clubs doing a great job. And encourage everybody to kind of, you know, roll up the sleeves and think about a little bit more to put the right content out there, and you're going to see your followers grow over time. Now, we talked about organic followers, which, as I said, are sometimes hard to get because if you post something, only 1 in 10 of people that you know on or like your Facebook page are going to see it. The reason for that is our friends at Facebook want you to buy advertising, and that's in the form of a boost. So a boost is essentially a post that you put out there, and you then pay Facebook to make sure a greater percentage of your current followers see it. So it's similar to an ad, but it's simply just around something you've posted for some people to see for free. Or you can actually develop a real ad and pay for the ad to go out. Now, the nice thing about Facebook is they make boosting and posting drop dead simple. And it's actually relatively cost effective, and you can do some really good targeting. You can do geographic targeting, or you can do targeting by interest, or a combination of geographic and targeting by interest, so that you can get, you know, the word out to your target in your community about things that you're doing. So if you don't have a big budget for PR, and I'm guessing certainly in this year with COVID-19, budgets will be tight, it'd be great to at least put a few dollars behind your most important communications, the ones that are, you know, you're the best of the best, and get the word out and use it as a way to grow followers within your club. Okay. As I mentioned, there may be a second training session for Club PR. In that training session, I would spend a lot more time about how to boost, how to target, how to create ads, so that we, you know, our clubs can do it as cost effectively as possible. Okay. Okay, so I'm from the world of business, very much an advocate of what gets measured gets managed. Our friend Peter Drucker said that. And you probably heard what gets measured gets done. He might have heard that as well. I'm just gonna, at the risk of kind of drowning in numbers here. Oh, how did that get over there? Just ignore that there. Not sure what happened. But ultimately, I think every club should have some performance metrics on some of its communication tools. So on your website, for instance, if you use Google Analytics, it's a free tool provided by Google. All you have to do is put a little bit of code on your website, and our friends over at Club Runner will be happy to do that for you. You can tell how many over a period of time, let's say by month, how many new users you have to your website, how many users in total you have to your website. How many people came to your website just once and left after one page? That's called a bounce rate. A high number, usually not good. A low number is good. That means they saw a number of pages and they found your content engaging. You know, how many sessions were there over the course of a period of time, in this case, a month? So how many pages were viewed in total by your user base? And how much time was spent on average on your website? And this is an approximation because it basically counts between 2 clicks. If you're using only as one click on your website, it doesn't do a great job. But the idea here is month by month, take a look at some very simple metrics to make sure that you're growing your users, or you're growing your sessions, or you're growing your time on site. And that's success. Ideally, you could start the year and say, okay, you started the year at an average of 200 users per month. By the end of the year, we want to get that to 300 users per month. And so you set the goal and you start working through it. It's amazing what happens when you set goals. Second thing you can take a look at, again, apologize for this, I'm not sure how that showed up. Facebook, you got some great tools there to measure your success. Again, they're free. There's one called Facebook Creator Studio. There's another called Instagram Creator Studio, where you can track your followers by month. Again, we're looking at increased followers month by month for a club. You can identify whether they come from Canada or not, or whether I'm from a Burlington club, they come from Burlington, or maybe Oakville or Hamilton. You want to see, you know, where people come to your Facebook page from. You want to see how many times your posts have been reached. This is actual data. This is interesting. When I was tracking this, you know, our posts were reaching less than 1,000 or so on a month basis. And then boom, 74,000. You know what that was? That was an invitation, a posted event in our Facebook calendar page for RibFest. So RibFest happens in the month of September. 74,000 people saw that invitation, and it was associated with our club. That type of thing has impact. And so, you know, measure it, make sure that you're taking advantage of what Facebook has to offer in terms of calendar planning and posting events. Understand what the engagement is. That is, that month, messages from our website were shared or liked or commented on by 700 people. So that's good, that's success. You have to measure it if you want to make sure that you know, that success is happening. Okay, got the same type of stats for Instagram. I'm not going to go that in detail. And ultimately, it's not the ultimate factor for success, but how's your membership doing? Is it increasing? Is it, you know, how many new members do you have in your club relative to older members? We want vibrant clubs with hopefully steady or growing membership. So all of the things we do in PR, it's not all geared towards growing membership, but it is an important part of keeping us vibrant, because without vibrant members, you know, we really can't do all the things we love to do as an organization. I'll stop there for a sec. Any questions that I should be aware of, Cynthia?
No, that we'll keep them for the end if you're nearing that point.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If you're best, you're using other social media as well, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I would say Instagram's probably the best bet because it's so similar to Facebook. It's owned by the same organization, but it targets a very younger demographic. So if you're interested in getting some young blood into the club, Instagram is the way to go. And of course, you can use traditional media outreach programs for print, TV, and radio. Although the reality of that today, it's very, very hard to get free exposure through those channels, unless you're willing to, you know, spend money on paid advertising. They're many times reluctant to give you just unpaid for placement. Okay. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on the clock here. PR is not easy. It's a challenge. And there's research, there's insights, you need some creativity, there's photography. We haven't even talked about what great photography is all about, but it's so important. There's copywriting, there's approvals, you get other people's perspectives. It's something that takes time and it's a challenge. So it's you know, as you go into the next year for Rotary, just make sure that you're tuned into that reality. If you can't focus on quantity and quality, just focus on quality and make sure that the few things you do are done very, very well, and hopefully get out there by their power. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Rotary's story, our voice and visual identity. This comes from my Rotary Brand Center, and it's really, really critical for us to embrace this as we think about the design of our websites and our communications. We want to make sure that whatever we do, we're saying it in a Rotary way. I'll give you a quick example. You know, two brands out there, Dove versus Clinique, both are personal care brands. But if you think about Dove as a brand, it's something that it's a brand that seems to be in tune with human emotions. It's all about people and how they feel, versus Clinique, which is somewhat, you know, dry and clinical. It's all about science. They're two both of them are very effective brands, but they speak to people in different ways. So we want to make sure as we think about our brand that we're speaking in a way that is smart, compassionate, persevering, and inspiring. So every time you think about what you're saying and how you're saying it, you want to be true to this voice. It is our voice. We are the brand, and you're responsible for putting the brand in front of the community. And this is the way we want to talk. Mike also mentioned about our core values: fellowship, integrity, diversity, service, and leadership. So those very much marry the core values that I just show you. Here's a very simple example of communication that has no voice to it versus one that's in Rotary's voice. And I'll give you just 15 seconds to kind of read that. And I'm guilty as everybody else. If I go into writing a piece of communication without really thinking about it, I'm apt to write something that looks like the left-hand side of your screen. But if you embrace what we are as an organization, remind yourself about how we want to communicate, you can see the impact it can have on the copy you put forth on any kind of communication. And why is that important? Well, it's inspiring. It's inviting. It speaks about who we are and what people might expect if they interact with Rotary in any way, whether it's a club meeting, an event, or organizing in some way. And hopefully, because it's all about getting people involved, it pulls people into us as an organization, and yeah, includes a call to action. Okay, so that's a little bit about us as an organization, what our values are. Photography, really, really important. Again, this is coming down from Rotary International. Old white guy sitting in a room listening to a meeting, it's not what it's about. We want to see Rotarians out in the community helping people, and having those who we are helping active in the act of being helped. It's not about charity. It's not about a pity party. It's about us helping and creating a sense of community through that help. Okay. Should stay focused on connections to the community. If you can, use shots with multiple people, not just one. And we're looking for a diverse range of ethnicities and ages. Finally. We're looking for those who are helping to be depicted in the shots, if at all possible, and being involved in that, not just kind of as innocent bystanders. We're working with people. We're not working kind of at people or to people. And we got to respect that in our photography. Photography is so, so powerful. You just saw this shot for a second. This shot was taken at the end of the World War II. It's a shot that people probably have ingrained in their mind. It's so powerful because it's emotions. It invokes emotions. Emotions help humans remember stuff. So if you use emotional photography in your communications, there's a greater chance that, what you say is going to be remembered by your target audience. So spend some time and find the right shots, do it right. If you don't know anything about photography, take a course online somewhere. There's all kinds of resources. A little bit can go a long way to raising the bar in terms of the quality of photography we use in our communications. And it will pay off in spades for sure. A little bit about logos, sorry. These are the full color logos that you are expected to use. Although you may have a point of view whether you like these colors or like these layouts, the reality is you don't have a choice. This is our brand and we've got to use it in everything we do. We have some options for black and white communications or single color communications as well. Use these. If you have a second, go through all your communications that are current right now on your website. And if they're not looking like these, it's time to make the change. Early on, I talked about that road sign somewhere. I think it's in Kitchener. Maybe it's time to change the road sign for Rotary as well, so that it's modern and fresh. It looks something like this. Okay, I'm going to skip through some of this material because I'm running long. Okay, so our reality today, we have no fundraisers to promote. We can't talk about how we're supporting the community through our fundraisers. So we're going into the next year with kind of one arm strapped behind the back because I know we do a lot of great things in the community and there quite simply won't be as many opportunities to talk about them. Our budgets are going to be reduced, so less opportunity to help those in our communities. We're using Zoom calls, so there's less opportunity to reach out to communities and give people some TLC as they come to our meetings. Our community's reality, budgets are really tight, people are stressed out, That said, it's a dynamic environment, and when you have things changing in the environment, that creates an opportunity to do things differently and leverage that change for the success of the organization. The reality is people have more time to read and watch and learn today than they may have had a year ago or 3 months ago. They're coming together in a time of crisis, so those are things that hopefully we're involved in those opportunities to come together. And there's new service opportunities. So those are the things we should be leveraging right now and for the foreseeable months in the world of COVID-19. And we should be talking about on our website, at our club meetings, and in our communications. Okay. We've all seen this image before. It's about evolution. So we've got something thrown at us right now with COVID-19. We've got to evolve quickly what we're doing and how we're doing it on our communications to make sure we stay relevant and most importantly, evolve and survive and come out of this a lot stronger. Okay. So final thoughts, really quick. Be patient with PR. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. A lot of little things are going to add up to one big thing over time. Focus on quality, not quantity. Benchmark for sure. Set some goals at the beginning of the year and measure your success. Leverage us. Leverage the resources we have, whether it's people, our websites, or global. And again, just a quick shout out for our webinar on May the 21st for Club Runner. Stay true to our branding and everything you do. Keep it legal. If you're going to borrow something, make sure you have the right to borrow it, whether it's a song, an image. Yeah, we don't want you guys to get in trouble by borrowing or using stuff that you don't have the rights to use. Be sensitive to today's reality, which is COVID-19. And one last pitch. We talked about a lot of work going into PR. I'm a big, big advocate of working in clusters. Unfortunately, I work I'm in a Burlington club. We're not currently working with the other clubs in Berlin to come together as a cluster to do a Facebook page, but I would love to see us do that. And I would love to see all the other clusters to do that, because as you can see, doing a great job at PR takes effort. And if you're working together in a community, if we all do a little part, we can see a significant impact on our community. There's no reason from the outside looking in that let's say somebody living in Burlington wants to learn about Facebook, that they have to learn about it from an individual club. There should be a place they go to learn about Facebook, about Rotary through Facebook for Burlington as a whole. And so certainly thinking about ways that we can make that easier. And that's something I'm going to be talking about at the district level and at committee level to see if we can help clubs do that by maybe creating some incentives or breaking down some barriers. Okay, that is it. I talked a lot. Hope you were able to track with that. With that, I'm going to stop sharing the screen here and see if people have questions.
Oh, Dan, there is like questions and comments. Folks, I appreciate that we're a couple minutes over time, and I hope that you can stay with us. Just as a reminder, if you can't, know that the recording will be available afterwards as well. So a couple of questions that came up, and one of them was, how do you promote guests to attend your Zoom meetings? So if I could actually just briefly comment on that, Dan, and I'll hand it over to you. Just from a District 7080 perspective, please keep your websites up to date, right? I know we've transitioned to meeting online, but please keep your websites up to date. If you're interested in posting your meeting on the district site, you absolutely can and put it on the calendar, if that's another way. We encourage you not to post the link directly on a Facebook page or any other social media, unless anyone get a hold of it that isn't meant to get a hold of it. Dan, any other suggestions for that idea and encouraging others to come to your meetings?
I'm not sure I caught the last one you said, but basically, obviously promoting it on your Facebook page that they will be attending your meeting. I guess you got to ask yourself, what's the objective of that person attending your meeting and what do you want to happen as a result? If it's for the good of your club and only the good of your club, you might want to keep those communications just focused on your club membership, right? And so that might go out through a bulletin or maybe your Facebook page or your website. If you think there's a greater benefit to your broader community for letting them know the type of people that come to your club and share their insights and influence, then that should be shared as well. That could be shared through all your mediums. That may encourage people to attend your club meeting that week, and that's great. My guess is it won't be a flood of new people, but 3 or 4 new faces that are interested in what your club has and what that speaker has to say could be a good thing. But again, just think about, why do I want to share it? What's the objectives of it? And then that will probably lead you to make the right choices of where to share it and how.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks. And Sherry added a really good point, which is she's, putting out events there and encouraging people to RSVP. And then I'm assuming you'll pass on the ways for them to get in touch and attend. And she commented that it's a great way to expand membership by free attendance right now. So,
Right.
Lots of interested people and a little easier to join online at 7 a.m. than it is to get dressed and
for
see
sure.
your meeting for sure. A couple of other questions. I think there was a question around the fabulous phone stickers that you posted. And I don't know if you actually have a supplier for those, or maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
These things right here. So we bought, just FYI, our club bought $1,000 worth of these for Ribfest. We used them as people entered the park. We didn't ask them for a donation, but if they chose to give a donation, we gave them a little sticker and said, hey, you're kind of an honorary Rotarian for the day. Welcome to our event. And I quickly after that, they were on my phone. They were on people's shirts and everywhere. And I realized, wow, this is so easy. Oh, this is my Husky phone cover. To have them. And so, yeah, if maybe we can do that at a district level, get a couple rules out to every club and encourage people just put them on their phone, because my phone is everywhere, like I said, and it just sparks the conversation. So easy to do.
Great idea. And I know that those stickers are available from your local Rotary apparel and all that suppliers. Yeah. So okay. And then there was, I think we had a little bit of questions, especially again from District 7080, just over Facebook. So I'm going to try to answer this question in a minute, but if we can't get it answered here, then we'll put it, we'll make sure we post something on our district site. So District 7080 has a Facebook community page and a Facebook page, okay? So we have a community group and a Facebook page. The page is sort of the official district one where we post official district information. The group is open to anyone to post so long as you're a member of the group. So you just have to join, okay? On the page, if you like the page, then you will see the feed. And if you're interested in posting something there, you can. And the PR committee will get a request to approve that post, and it will then subsequently get posted, right, if it fits the criteria for that page. So a couple different channels. There was a mention of a hashtag to use, and I see it actually on Sherry's background there. That's fantastic. So hashtag Rotary Responds will get your posts into the mainstream on all of Rotary's COVID activities. So there's that. So just wanted to provide some clarity there. Doug, you had posted a question around, is there a way to share a Facebook post or photo album with people who are not on Facebook with an account? Dan, are you in a position to answer that?
No, it's a closed world. Facebook wants to have more people on Facebook. So if you want to post, if you want to share something, it's got to be through another Facebook user. That said, it is you can sometimes repurpose content very easily on Facebook to Instagram, because they're both owned by Facebook. So somebody could have an Instagram account, but not a Facebook account. It's relatively easy to share that content from one platform to the other. Yeah, but it's kind of tough to do it, let's say, from Facebook to LinkedIn, kind of conflicting interests there.
Got it. So Dan, a lot of people have been asking for your presentation. Just as a reminder, it has been recorded and will be posted, but I think they're keen on having your fantastic slides.
Happy to.
That's great. So we'll get an email out to this team who attended, and we'll either tell you where we put them or tell you or we'll email them to you. And I think, Dan's been talking about a follow-up presentation. since all of these 60 some odd people stayed on for a couple extra minutes, I can tell that there's definitely appetite for that. So we'll let folks know. And for those in 7090, we'll get the message to your training team. And as always, you are more than welcome to join. What else am I seeing here? Great note from Jan and Nee in the chat around the purpose of our group in District 7080 in our page. So take a look at that. And Doug, you just had a quick follow-up question. Are there any other public access slideshow programs that you might recommend for picture sharing? I know one comes to mind for me, but go ahead, Dan.
Like Pinterest, would you say, or?
Well, so it sounds like, Doug, you're looking to share. Let me maybe unmute you, Doug, and maybe you can briefly just share what you're trying to accomplish, and then we can answer your question better. Is Doug still there? Where is Doug? I don't see Doug anymore with us. Maybe I'm missing him, but you know what? Maybe we can get back to that. It sounds like Doug's looking for a way of sharing some pictures.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Doug, I missed you.
So like we paste, when we have community events, we do a lot of photo album publishing on Facebook, and we give a little slideshow story. I call it a pictorial report.
Oops.
But only people on Facebook see that. I recommend any other slide sharing forum, or like where you load your photos into a slideshow. Like we used to have Picasa, which was bought up by Google. I don't know if you're familiar with Picasa, but you could basically create what a similar posting to what you put on Facebook albums. Then you could send a link to a slideshow to people or share it somewhere.
Yeah, that's. I'm not sure whether you can link that to a Facebook post, but if you could, that's great. I guess one of the things, just kind of building on that of what you said in terms of one of the things I've been encouraging our club to do is to have all members have access to a common photo drive. So we're Rotarians every day and every way, and we're out to different events and doing different things that may have value to be posted on our website. But so often than not, it's tough to track those images down. But just to have a common drive that we can all go to and dump images into that are Rotary related, so that the administrators of your Facebook page or your website can go to one place to see pictures that your Rotarians within your club have taken, and then potentially use them. Now, of course, whenever we're taking pictures of other individuals, they should be, you either want to get a formal release or at minimum let them know that you know, their image may be used on a Facebook posting. The idea there is, you know, the more, say that the more images, the good chance you're going to find a great one. But that's kind of the reality, is when if everybody's out there taking great pictures, you'll hopefully find a great one that you can actually put on your Facebook page or website. And now with you know, Google Drives and whatnot, it's really easy to have a shared link that people can just dump stuff into.
Great. So I threw in some into the chat, maybe some options for sharing photos online. There are some quick questions around training resources. So training resources for Google Analytics, training resources for Facebook and Instagram. Any suggestions, Dan, on where people can go?
Yeah, there are free resources out there. Google will, for clients who actually, you know, have a vibrant site. If you're spending money with Google, it actually even helps. But they'll help you with Google Analytics. You know, they'll pick up the phone and give them a call, and they'll walk you through the most basics. And to be honest with you, I don't think we need as clubs to go beyond the basics of measuring stuff like, you know, time on site, number of new users. Minimum, people can reach out to me and I'll walk them through it. To make it work though, your website does have to have Google Analytics installed in the background, and that's something that the folks at Club Runner can do for you if you just pick up the phone and ask them or send them an email. It'll take 3 or 4 days for them to get around, and it'll take a little bit of time for the, you know, statistics in the background to start to populate, but it's done very, very quickly.
Great. I think I have addressed most of the questions. Dan, something tells me that you might be getting some emails asking people to come speak at their clubs. So,
happy to do it.
yeah. So, folks, I just want to say thank you again to Dan for joining. Thank you for our technical team for supporting, and thank you to all 60 some of you here who were able to join and participate on a Saturday morning. It looks like it has stopped snowing just in time. So stand out on your porches, folks, and get some fresh air. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.